I can't disagree with this because it's so true. The president of Square Enix says you can't make good games by imitating Westerners. And I want to say you can't really make good games by imitating, period. I mean, sure, a couple of concepts here and there, obviously you're going to borrow. Because there have been so many games out there that it's impossible to make something 100% original. But if you're just going to imitate, especially if you imitate Ubisoft formula, where there's like an open world and you run around and then there's some towers that you can climb, and once you climb the tower, it reveals the surrounding area and its activities, and then you level up by doing those activities and you gain access to some new skills. Which game have I described? Did I describe Horizon Zero Dawn? Did I describe Assassin's Creed? Did I describe Far Cry? Am I describing The Division? I mean, all of these games are imitations to one another. In fact, you have video game journalists saying that, oh yes, this is the way. Like, do not think of your game as an RPG. Do not think of your game as an adventure game. Just, have this bland corporate checkbox shit and throw it in there, and people are going to buy it. And then the journalists are livid because instead of playing Horizon Forbidden West, people are playing Elden Ring. And Elden Ring goes against the formula. Like, there were so many game developers freaking out. It's like, oh my god, Elden Ring goes against the formula. Why is it selling? Because it's not an imitation. It's something original. They took a risk. Now, I understand it's very difficult to take a risk when games are costing hundreds of millions of dollars to make. I completely understand, but I'm a consumer. I am the guy purchasing the game. I don't give a shit. I'm not on the board of Square Enix. I'm not the one that buys stocks with Square Enix. So I don't care what they do. Just give me a good game. So at least they have the correct mindset. Yes, like imitating stuff never works. I mean, remember when World of Warcraft was popular and you had like all those RPGs that tried to imitate World of Warcraft? How many of them ended up being successful? How many World of Warcraft clones are even online today? And then you have the MOBA genre. Like, how many games didn't try to imitate League of Legends and Dota? How many of them are still active today? How many can you play today? Occasionally it might work. Occasionally. But even then. So, no, I definitely agree. However, with that said, I think Square Enix is on the wrong foot. Aren't they the ones with the ethics department? The ethics department, like, just so you can understand, there is a person out there that is paid by Square Enix. They take money to do this job to measure Tifa's tits. Like Tifa from Final Fantasy with breasts, there is a person that measures them to decide what is and what isn't acceptable for grown-ass adults to play. Like, they don't think you're capable of playing a game if Tifa has big boobs. So because of that, they have to censor it in-house. Meanwhile, in the real world, outside of the imaginary corporate La La Land, you have people modding the game for free. Like, there are people out there who, in their personal free time, are tinkering with the game in order to dress Tifa into various revealing costumes, in order to reimagining her cup size. Because that's what people actually want. That's what they want to pay money for. That's literally what the consumer wants. So Square Enix should stop listening to video game journalists. That would be my advice to them. Instead, go on forums where gamers actually are, without moderation if possible. Go on 4chan. That would piss off the video game journalists, because like on 4chan, everyone is anonymous. And you go there, and you actually get the input of what people want, because there's no censorship. There's absolutely no censorship, and people will speak their mind on whatever they think a game is good enough so that they can pay money for. Last time a company did this, it has happened. I think it was THQ Nordic, if I'm not mistaken. And the journalists were so livid because by doing this, it bypassed them. By doing this, it made the video game journalists useless. So they started slandering and attacking the company. Mask off, as they say. But yeah. What's interesting, though, is what the president of Square Enix is saying. And this is absolutely true. It says that the game market has become globalized. And you can't just appeal to the domestic market. And this is the mindset that the people at corporations have, and they're right. In order to make a AAA game nowadays, you need to spend hundreds of millions of dollars. It's a huge investment. And you're not going to gain your investment back if you just sell locally. You need to sell on the open market. And they think that, okay, well, if we're selling on the open market, we need to censor if we want to sell to China. Like that, it's actually required. So in order for a game to be available on the Chinese market, it needs to be censored. And even then, it's not a perfect investment because the Chinese government recently has been cracking down on games quite hard. Cracking down on how much time people are allowed to play video games, cracking down on how people are allowed to stream video games. So it is a dangerous investment because at any moment, the Chinese government can crack down on games even further. But still, right, like, if you want to sell to China, you have to censor. There's no way around it. But in the mind of the Japanese developers, and this is what I really don't understand, they think that in order to sell to the West, to the United States, they have to censor. They need an ethics department. They need to do these things. And this is where I'm completely lost. Because with China, I understand. Like, the government literally does not allow you to sell unless you do the censoring. But with the West, no one is forcing you to censor. I have yet to see a video game in recent memory successfully boycotted by the left. I mean, sure, they complain, they whine, they moan, they will give you bad reviews. I mean, since Anita Sarkeesian back in the day, all the way up until now, all of the cultural critics have almost unanimously targeted Japanese video games. Just look, go back to Anita Sarkeesian and how she whines. Look at what the gaming press today complains about. Hint, Elden Ring. They target Japanese video games more than any other. Is that stopping Japanese video games from becoming popular? Is that stopping Japanese video games from becoming good? No, because at the end of the day, the journalists are the ones that manage to sell products. The word of mouth is a lot more powerful in this day and age. Like, if I play a video game and I like it, I will stream it. If I stream it, more people get to see it. In fact, like, streamers are probably far more effective at selling a product than any video game journalist can ever be. Who reads Kotaku nowadays anyway? I mean, look at their comment section. They have like 20 or 30 people commenting. Why on earth are the Japanese companies even remotely caring about it? I don't know. But apparently it's in their head that you need to censor if you want to do business with the West. And I just don't understand why. I really don't get it. I mean, Bayonetta so far ignored the criticism coming from the cultures in the West, and it managed to sell very well. There's so many other examples. If the game is good, it sells. You don't need to listen. If the game is bad and you bend over to the criticism, it's still a bad game. I mean, if you look at Square Enix, they don't really make that many good games lately, do they? Like, what was the last game from Square Enix that you guys liked, huh? Final Fantasy Remake? Is it... I mean, it's a decent game, but I wouldn't say it's amazing or anything like that, and it's almost purely on the nostalgia factor. So hopefully, these companies will understand that if they want to sell to the West, they don't need to censor. Just allow your developers to be creative, allow your developers to express themselves, and then you might have a better product than you think. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.